Hello everyone and welcome back to the Plocast. Today we are back with another episode of The Bad Batch. Today we have Season 2, Episode 11, Metamorphosis. First week of having Mando and Bad Batch drop on the same day. So if you're following along with that, make sure to watch our Mando Season 3, Episode 1 reaction. That is up on the channel already.
Hopefully, for real though, hopefully it's a little bit better. Hopefully we start ramping on up towards that finale. I could use a couple more good episodes. I feel like they've been a little bit too few and far between, so.
Are you ready to watch this episode?
I am Red, but my name is Paul, so I go by Red P.
Okay, let's watch.
No, that's not
my goodness.
the Millennium Falcon. Oh, it's our boy from the thumbnail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my guy is
That's what
dead.
I sound like when I'm hungry.
My guy is dead. Rip the homie. Oh man. I've always thought Star Wars would be a great thing for like horror. And I'm kind of upset that we haven't gotten more of it.
Communication with transport 90.
Is that old Omega?
That's definitely Michelle Ang just doing a different role.
Yeah.
They needed an extra voice, so they just had her go super deep. This is interesting though. I like the vibe of this. Oh yeah, she never came to help them. She was like, I'll see what I can do, and then she didn't.
Wrecker's been accepting every single one.
Yeah.
He's been smiling and then looking at Hunter and then getting serious again.
Yeah. He just wants to see what they think, and then
then
he makes his opinion.
I guess they don't know, but isn't a cargo just those animals or whatever it is?
Yeah.
So they're just gonna go get attacked, and then that's it. They're not gonna get anything to plunder.
I love the creepy shots like that. Like it was like something in the grass watching Hunter. That was cool.
I predict they're gonna get split up somehow.
Oh,
what an alpha, bro! Your
like
concern is not warranted.
Yeah. The angled camera. Lab. Oh, it's always a lab. What did they make? What did you guys do? Oh, did they make a clone that went like horribly wrong?
They like cloned like an animal instead of a human.
Yeah. Or even creepier, they cloned a human and it didn't go well.
It's got 4 arms and claws and big teeth.
Ew. Why would you touch so much of it? He put like his whole palm in there.
Gotta make sure it's all gross.
Oh, cool. What is that?
I'm looking at a black screen.
Oh my god, my mom is gonna hate this episode. What is that? Is it a mini Zillow?
It's got a big mouth. I know that much.
I don't look like the Zillow beast. Oh, oh my god, what the hell is that?
Oh, it's growing.
It's bigger. Yeah. Oh, they turned on the power and just gave it a buffet. Oh my god.
That is fascinating.
Oh my gosh. Is it the Zillow plating?
It must be from Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Same species.
Dude, it's the Zillow.
It is.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh. Now it has eyes.
Yeah. I knew it, bro. I called that immediately.
That you did get that pretty fast.
Dang. That's kind of sick. Oh, dang. The whole squad is here.
Do they know about it?
Well, yeah, because Palpatine wanted to do research on it. And then...
In Clone Wars, yeah.
And then I can't remember how it died, but I'm pretty sure it died. Because it was it was rampaging through Coruscant, and they had...
Yeah.
So, this was probably Palpatine's... This is probably all the research they're talking about, is Palpatine doing this. So that was kind of a big plot hole that people had in Clone Wars. They're like, oh, well, you have the Zilla Beast armor. Why not make that into soldier plating and have them never get shot by anything? So that I guess this is them addressing that.
Why are they all going after them instead of the Beast?
I don't know. That's that Empire mentality. Yeah. So I guess they took the body and he had them had the Kaminoans working on cloning technology for it, and they cloned one, and everything went great.
Whoa! Spin move.
Oh my god.
There's 4
Oh my god.
gunships, and then like, why are they all going after? That's so funny. Wow.
Whoa. That's the same kind of lasers that they use. Remember they had like the tanks that had those big lasers on them? Now they have one on a ship.
Omega's gonna be like, don't kill it.
Wait! Well, they did that already in Clone Wars. They were like, it's like one of the only left of its people on its native planet, and we're just trying to kill it. So then the Jedi... they made them think it was dead, and then they took it, or something.
Now they're gonna go press the people. You didn't see anything.
No, they're gonna test it out. They're gonna drop it in the town and just let it go loose.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh, is that my boy Scorch again? Surprise, surprise. A Sid mission goes bad. This guy's jacket reminds me of a Star Killer. You know, he has like those gray plates.
There is a particular clone you must locate.
Oh! It's coming
2/3 of the
full
way into the season, we
circle.
get the plot. Woo!
Yeah. Let's go. Finally something to sink our teeth into.
Yeah, we're only 2/3 of the way done. Might as well. Alright, before we talk about the episode specifically, there's just something that I want to bring up that I've come to realize throughout the season. It seems like the show always seems a little bit more interesting when they're not the main point of the show. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
this one, first of all, I really liked this episode, actually. I thought it did a good job of giving us that little bit of plot stuff. The comeback of the Zillow Beast was really cool, especially because that was kind of, not necessarily a plot hole, but like an unanswered question from Clone Wars that a lot of people were talking about. Like, whatever happened to that, because Palpatine wanted to use it, and then nothing ever came of it, obviously. So I like that they're following up with that. I really like the continuation of the arc with the Empire and the Kaminoans, and the Empire trying to work on the cloning. I thought the first third of the episode was really cool with the horror vibes they were doing, with a lot of the tense music, the camera angles, the darkness, and like the what is it, which kind of went away when they just pointed a camera at the beast and said, here it is, which I thought was a little lame. But that whole first section I thought was really great, like atmosphere wise, and all the everything else I said that I really liked about it. But like the least interesting part of it to me was what the Bad Batch was actually doing. And I feel like we keep saying that, and it's another case where pretty good episode don't care about the Bad Batch that much, which is odd considering they're supposed to be the protagonists. The problem we've had with some of the other filler episodes is not only is the Bad Batch not doing anything, but the filler plot is boring.
Yeah.
With this one, we have the filler plot actually being good and adding not even just filler, because it seems to have a lot of major plot implications, especially at the end there, with they need to find Omega if they want the Kaminoans' help with this cloning. But I feel like this show would be so much better if it wasn't just tunnel visioned on being about the Bad Batch. Why not a sequel show that encompasses everything? You can still have the Bad Batch in there. You can have them do a few stories where you can lump all of their characterization in at once, which would make them infinitely better characters because they're not being overused and to the point where it's just like, okay, repetitive, they're not doing anything, they're still here. And you could include so many extra stories. We could have all this stuff with the Empire. I think like a show primarily focused on the Imperial happenings would be absolutely awesome, because in the original trilogy, the Empire's not... We just know that they're the bad guys, and we don't see too much of the inner workings. We see a couple meetings, and we see Vader and Palpatine, but we don't see a lot of the other side that we're seeing in this. One of our favorite parts of Andor was like the Imperial half, where they were strategizing and planning and what they were going to do with the whole Cassian situation. I feel like this show would just be so much interesting if they just leaned into that and then had the Bad Batch be a part of it. I'm not saying get rid of them, because I like them as characters. Have them have their own little... they'll have their own stories. They'll have their 2-3 episode arcs. I feel like they sent Rex and Echo off to do what they're doing. And to be honest, I would rather watch what they're doing, because they're like they're going undercover and pulling clones out that want to come out and saving people from being assassinated. Like I want to watch that. Like,
so true.
You know what I mean? Like, am I crazy, or would this be much better if it was a broader scope?
Yeah. I think there's two possibilities of what this show could have been. You're nailing one of them. The other one, I think I'll try to describe is, no, stay focused on the Bad Batch, right? But then you need to have strong stories with the Bad Batch. We can't just be taking filler episodes to go do a little Sid mission and race pod racers, right? Because this episode was not bad, but the Bad Batch didn't have much to do. They couldn't really shine, which is fine if they have their own episodes to shine in. They're not being given those. They're being given just silly little plots that are just there to waste time before we get episodes like this. So I think they could either just say, well, we're just going to broaden the horizons. Let's just do episodes on whoever we want. Some of them on the Bad Batch where we can really make them shine. Some of them not. We'll just do the Empire. Like, this could have been just the Empire. We didn't really need the Bad Batch in this. Or they could go the other route and say, no, let's really, really, really focus in on the Bad Batch. Let's make all their storylines really solid, and let's spend a lot of time diving into their characters. That's what I thought the show would be, because it's not Clone Wars Part 2. I thought they were saying, no, we're making a distinction. I think they want the best of both worlds, and they're getting neither the best of both worlds. They're trying to do, like, we want to stay Bad Batch, but we also want to do all these cool Empire stories and all these other things, and pod racing. Let's do that. Like, it waters down everything, where if they like really focus on the Bad Batch, it could be a lot better. Or if they focus on the Bad Batch for a couple arcs, and they did Empire arcs, they did who knows what arcs, so many cool possibilities in this era, and that could be really strong, like a Clone Wars Part 2. But call it something different, because we're out of the Clone Wars. Which stinks, because especially this episode, I think, speaks a lot to that. This episode, I think, is really, really solid. But when we're missing all that development for all our characters, when they mention Echo and Rex and they're doing cooler stuff, and they're not showing that to us, and like, it's there's so much that's going on that we're not seeing. We're seeing not pod racing, whatever that thing was. We're seeing little kids have wage disputes with their employer. Like, why? And like, treasure hunts could be cool if it's like new characters every week. Like, oh, spice it up. We're looking after these guys now. Like the Clone Wars, where it's like flipping back and forth, and you're getting to see the larger speck of the universe instead of just the Bad Batch. Like, it gets boring when the stories aren't compelling and it's the same people every week. But yeah, and then here it's like, I feel like if they have had those strong stories, this episode would have been a lot better. Because I wouldn't be thinking like, oh, I don't care about Sid and their storyline there. I wouldn't be thinking
you would care about
exactly. So, and it stinks, because like, I feel like that takes away from a really good episode like this one.
Yeah, like Anakin in the Clone Wars is one of the best characters in all of Star Wars. All the characterization that he goes through, it's amazing.
Period.
But imagine if he was in every single episode. Mm-hmm. And they added zero characterization to what was already there, and we just got what we got, and then every other episode was also him just doing random stuff. Like, it would diminish all the peaks, because like, you just have all of this filler time of just him doing absolutely nothing. Like, I don't see the problem with dropping this to like 9-8 episodes and really focusing in on the Bad Batch, or doing another option where you make it not an anthology, but similar to that, where it's like all of the transition. That's been the most exciting part of this whole like show for me, is the transition phase between the Republic to the Empire. That's like, I eat that stuff up all the time. A lot of my favorite episodes of this show are related to that. I really liked the episodes with Captain Hauser, I think his name was, last season. Those are some of my favorite episodes, and the Bad Batch wasn't even in one of them. They made a cameo like at the end or in the middle. That was one of my favorite episodes. Episode 3 of this season, they're not in it at all. Probably in the top 3 of the entire show. It's just so weird, because like, so much of what I like doesn't revolve around the protagonists of the show. Which, I mean, if that works for you, that's fine. I'm not saying that, you're not allowed to like what they're doing, but it's just.
Well, I will say I don't think that is fine. Why name a show after them if you're not going to highlight them and show their best attributes? Like it's weird the choices they make. Like we're not putting these stipulations on them; they're putting these stipulations on themselves. Like they could have made a show and say, "Hey, we're going to name this post Civil or not Civil War, post Clone War era." And we're going to focus a lot on the Bad Batch, but we're also going to do other storylines. And I've been like, cool.
Right.
But they said, no, we're going to do Bad Batch storylines and we're going to focus really in on this group and we're going to show you what they're like. Awesome. But then they don't do that. Like it's so weird to me that they would decide to do something, take up this mission to do something, and then just nah.
Yeah.
Like what, bro?
I don't know.
Why try? But I want to get into the episode. I do think this episode was very well done.
We will. I feel like we're probably going to end up making a video on that topic specifically in more detail.
Once it's all,
it might be like an episode of our podcast or something. If you want to check that out, we have like 2 episodes of that where we just kind of ramble. We might end up. We might end up that everything we just talked about. We might expand upon that in an episode of the podcast. So if you want to see that, make sure to look out for that. But yeah, this episode, everything we just said. And I thought it was pretty good.
I enjoyed it.
I mentioned some of the reasons earlier on, but I don't know. It was exciting, and I wasn't bored. So. Yeah, and my favorite thing, I have something to think about for next week. Mm-hmm. They said we need to track down the girl. 1. Yes. They said, find out what that ship was. So they're gonna find out about the Bad Batch 2. Who's an expert on the Bad Batch? Crosshair and Rampart. So like I can see like pieces in motion. Like I can see, I could speculate, the story's gonna go this way. That's fun. I can't wait to see what happens next. Instead of just, let's see what Sid has in store. Another thing with that is like, imagine if this was at the beginning of the season and we had been sitting on that information the whole time. That had so much more stress and like, interest, because
down at any moment.
Yeah, while they're doing whatever they're doing, in the back of your head, you're like, they're looking for her probably right now. So it's like, why we could have had it like maybe back here, because it doesn't change much. It doesn't really. They're at the same point that they are with Sid the whole time, which is frustrating. Yeah. So it's not like that changes either.
Yeah, and they did say last mission. So
hopefully,
fingers crossed. Yeah. But yeah, and then all the cloning stuff, I think that was really strong. It built on stuff we've already seen, stuff we saw in the first season, and then they kind of Tech had that revelation. It's like, I don't think they wanted to end cloning, they wanted to control it, they wanted to monopolize it, which is cool. It's like unraveling the layers back, peering into what the Empire really is, which is awesome. There's so much you can dive down in there. I hope they explore that further. And it looks like they will with the new Imperial guy. I forgot his name. The Doctor.
I forget his name too. But
I don't know. Yeah, but that seems cool. Yeah, I would like to see more of him, more of his research. I think it might just be straight up cloning Zilla Beast so they can get armor. But maybe there's more, especially with the Omega stuff. Like, what does she have to do? Maybe it's more than just like, she's a good friend. Yeah. Maybe it's like, her DNA is a secret to how we clone stuff or something like that. But it's cool. It's cool to speculate and think about these things. And I like that this episode allowed us to do that. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that was probably the most interesting part for me, was the whole kind of cloning little sub aspect of this episode, along with, I mentioned it earlier in the reaction, but Star Wars, I feel like there's so much potential in Star Wars for horror. And I'm not even a big horror guy. Like, I don't play that many horror games or watch horror movies that often, but like, I feel like Star Wars is such a, like, that can lend itself to horror so well, and we saw that at the beginning of this episode. And there's been other like smaller moments, like there's been some Clone Wars episodes where little, like you got the Geonosis, the whole Geonosis thing with the zombie worms, and then after that, like the worms got onto the clones, and Ahsoka and Barriss had to kill a bunch of infected worm brain clones on the that Tango Company, I think. But I feel like there's a lot of potential for horror. I know that that's probably like a niche market, and they're kind of aiming everything at kids now. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if I watched the heck out of that.
I remember too, Mando season 1. There's a little bit of that when he was with Bill Burr. I forget his name.
Miggs Mayfeld.
Yeah, but yeah, like you think about deep space, all the different species of aliens in Star Wars, like so much unknown. Like it really, really does lend itself well. Especially like on spaceships, you're confined to corridors.
Yeah,
you might not know the layout, so you're kind of like it's all. And I think it was done well here. And I get, like you said, they kind of revealed the monster quickly. I kind of get that because they were just, I think they were just dipping their feet. They didn't want to be all horde. They're like, we can do it. But then, let's, and then they wanted to, like, I guess, move on with showing it's the Zillow. But yeah, it's cool. And I like that. And not even just horror alone, but like switching thematically. Like it doesn't always have to be like an adventure story. It can be something like this. It can be a relationship story. It could be, there's so much potential. Star Wars is just a setting and what you do in it. Like there's so much you can do. So it's cool to see them kind of switch it up a little bit here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I mean, it makes sense when they did it, but I feel like they could have revealed it a little more creatively instead of like, they showed the head and like it was just like a static shot of the head. And then it like, and then it like jumps down and then it's just like a standard like it's right there. Like I feel like he could have did a little more like hiding, maybe slowly reveal like an arm and then like maybe like the top of the head and then like one big slam, it slams and it starts attacking them and then the full reveal while they're blasting it. Just something a little more creative than that. But what we got was pretty good. I really like the intro too with like just the lone commando.
Right, yeah.
I think a story just like that where it's like you don't know the character, it's just like a clone or a soldier. You don't know their name, you don't know their history, but they're on a ship, there's nobody else, and there's like a creature or something, and that's like a whole episode or a whole short, not of this show in general, like a whole short or like a whole mini, I don't know, something. I think that is really cool. I really like that aspect of it. But go ahead.
One other thing that I thought was crazy, but I guess kind of makes sense now the more I've thought about it, is that the Empire rolls up with their big containment ship, right? And about 10, 15 different spaceship fighters, I guess. Gunships and then the V-Wings.
V-Wings, I think, and gunships.
And then they're like flying down and immediately more than half go to chase the bad guys. And at first I was like, dude, they don't know who they are. Why are they so aggro? What the heck? But I do think it makes more sense. And you kind of said it's like, oh, well, that's the Empire. But I think you're right, because I think they don't want anyone to know about this. No. I think they want to full force track down anyone. It doesn't matter who it is. They probably think it's just pirates or scavengers, and they don't care. They would have shot him down and killed him in cold blood right there. So it makes sense. They all chased him. There's a bunch of V-Wings and gunships right after. I was like, chill out, bro. Like,
and they had the gunships on the power station and they were blowing it up because they probably knew that's what it fed on, because they're obviously the ones experimenting on it. So they had like 3 or 4 gunships there trying to control it too.
And but I think it made sense. And then I think that was reinforced, like the might about how they rounded up all the civilians. They because that's also something and even you're like, well, just go and like, they don't have to round them up. But no, the Empire's like, no, we're the full might. We're coming down. We're handling this. I am excited for the next few episodes. Hopefully we just continue, like just pick it up from here and keep going.
Please. Yes. Because I was happy with this one because I wasn't expecting much and I got more than I expected. And I thought it was pretty solid, pretty good. One of my favorites of the season.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. It probably is just by kind of default.
Like just it has to be.
Top 3. Well, I didn't even think about that. Okay.
Yeah, that is going to be all for us. Make sure you check out the playlist down below. Find all the reactions for all of the Bad Batch Season 1 and Season 2. And we have some longer review discussion videos and all that. Mandalorian Season 3 is back. Make sure you check out our reaction to Episode 1, which should already be on the channel when you are seeing this. We're going to try to do them at the same time-ish. It's kind of tricky to get them both recorded on the same day sometimes, but we're gonna get them, especially when the Bad Batch has their double drop and also a Mando episode. It's gonna be wild.
What are you doing, Disney?
Yeah. Which would you rather see us do first if that were the case? Would you rather see Mando episode 5 or 6 or whatever it is, or the Bad Batch finale? I think we're kind of leaning towards Bad Batch finale just because it's the finale.
Yeah.
And they're usually good with their finales, but you know, we'll see how it goes from here. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let us know what you thought about this episode in the comments, and we will talk to you in the next one. Goodbye.